Hi, it's Mr. Anderson, and this is AP Environmental Science Video 29. It's on air pollution. When we think of air pollution today, we think of cities like Beijing. I spent a week there, and I could never see the sun. In this picture, you can see before and after a rain, which has knocked a lot of those chemicals out of the atmosphere. And these chemicals have adverse health effects. And so we saw that in Western Europe. In London in 1952, they had the Great Smog. It was difficult to see, but thousands of people died, and that led to legislation. We had the same problems in North America. And so what is air pollution? It's not only chemicals in the atmosphere, but chemicals that have bad health effects. And since we're breathing it in, it's going to affect our lungs, our heart, and can lead to increased cancer risks. Where are these chemicals coming from? Well, they can be produced naturally. And so we have forest fires and volcanoes that can produce these pollutants. But also we have stationary sources. You can think of those as industrial, like factories. And then we have mobile sources. That would be like cars and buses. And so if they're affecting us negatively, we call these pollutants. And in AP Environmental Science, you simply should memorize the different types of pollutants that I've listed here. Starting with volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. This would be like formaldehyde, gasoline, anything that's organic and can diffuse into the environment. We've got carbon monoxide, this odorless gas. We've got NOx, which is going to be both nitrogen or nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. We then have sulfur dioxide produced through the combustion of coal. We then have particulate matter. These are going to be suspended solids. And then finally we have chemicals like lead. These are all primary pollutants. That means they're produced by the source themselves, but they can combine with other chemicals in the atmosphere and produce secondary pollutants. So for example, NOx can produce nitric acid, and sulfur dioxide can produce sulfuric acid. And these combined can produce acid rain, or more generally acid deposition, that has huge impacts on life. And then one of the pollutants that you're probably most familiar with is ozone, that can be produced through sun, and also we need nitrogen dioxide to produce that. And if we can combine a lot of these, then we have smog. It's probably the most famous type of air pollution that you're familiar with, and it's exacerbated by things like temperature inversions. So how do we control air pollution? Well, with regulation is one way. The Clean Air Act in the United States was able to reduce pollutants and save lives. And so technology is able to scrub those pollutants out of the air before it's released. Where is the air pollution coming from? What are the sources? They can be stationary, like this factory. They can be mobile, like all these cars stuck in traffic, or it can be natural. Remember, like giant forest fires can increase the amount of air pollution. But regardless, how do they affect us? It's through our cardiovascular system. It's just like smoking. You can think of it that way. It can lead to lung disease, heart disease, and increased risks of cancer. And so where do we see these health effects most? It's wherever we have industrialization.